World Health Organization calls to end illicit tobacco trade. Ban on Australian poultry products still stands. And Toea Wisil ready for Games Showdown.
This is National EMTV News with Neville Choi.
Thank you for joining me. This is Saturday's news. The World Health Organization is calling on countries to end the illicit trade of tobacco products. This was the message emphasized during the World No Tobacco Day 2015. The illicit trade of tobacco is now a concern with its increased accessibility and low cost. Yesterday was World No Tobacco Day 2015. Little significance was given with few celebrations around the country. But there is more work to be done with the high trade of illicit tobaccos being sold on streets around the world. The scale of the problem does not really surround the illegal trade of tobacco, but concerns to health, economy, governance and corruption. In PNG, the growing trend is the high number of youths or young adults that smoke up to 15 cigarettes a day, and in most circumstances the cigarette is accompanied by betel nut. The threat now is the availability of illicit tobacco is less expensive, poses detrimental health risk and takes revenue away from the government. Early this month, PNG British American Tobacco stated that 11% of tobacco consumed in PNG is smuggled through our borders, resulting in the government losing more than 26 million kina in revenue every year. Currently, the penalty for smuggling illegal tobacco into PNG is 2,000 kina. However, the enforcement of the penalties is still unsound, which allows smugglers to bring in illegal cigarettes. World No Tobacco Day is not just about smoking the right type of smoke or putting a stop to smoking habits, but it breaks down a family budget, a country's economy and one's health. Jack Lapawe Jr., National EMTV News. The national government's position on banning imported Australian uncooked poultry meat remains effective. Agriculture and Livestock Minister Tommy Tomskol says the ban aims to grow Papua New Guinea's economy and benefit farmers to recapitalize and expand the poultry industry.
Recently, he imposed a ban on chicken import, uncooked chicken, sorry. Would the minister be lifting the ban in the near future?
The Agriculture and Livestock Minister was responding to the question raised in Parliament this week by Thalassia MP Francis Maros on the ban of importing Australia's uncooked poultry meat.
Because this ban is based on science. It is not based on business, and I will maintain that position.
Minister Tomskol said priorities of the poultry industry sector are on farmers. PNG's poultry industry generates 712 million kina annually, much higher than Australia's 100 million kina. The ban imposed on April 5 protects the biosecurity of poultry industry, national economy and human health of Papua New Guineans.
The imposition of this ban will only create further employment, and it will only create further business for all our farmers who are mainly rural based.
The government has commissioned a review into the Biosecurity Act and biosecurity of the poultry industry in Papua New Guinea.
I must state very clearly that in the long term, the vision of government should always be to protecting the biosecurity of this country.
Fabian Hakalitz, National EMTV News.
More than 2,000 people living around 9 Mile settlement in Port Moresby now have access to running water. Settlers around this area have been carrying water from distant water sources, but this will be a thing of the past. The service was made possible through the Moresby Northeast Administration's water project in partnership with Edarano. More than 10,000 people in settlements within the electorate have benefited from similar water projects.
The 9 Mile Vanuatu turn-off settlement in the nation's capital is made up of people from different ethnic groups, especially islanders. Although people have settled here for more than 2 decades, water has been a scarce resource for this community of over 2,000 people. The administration of Mosby Northeast, under the leadership of member Labi Amayu, has delivered water supply to several settlements in the electorate. 9 Mile Water Project was commissioned yesterday by the member and witnessed by executives of Ederanu, including the Chief Executive Officer Henry Mokono.
Like great joy long all 1 way to 10 off. Now all mama especially because all the time mamas are play lowara na, so I make use lowara la house. Make sure that house staff the good service time, all the family come back la house. Now this line making bringing big la joy lo mipla. Mipla to thank you.
Representatives from the working class highlighted the need for government to bring these essential services to these settlements, given the fact that public servants are living in settlements. The member said for services to go into the settlements, it is equally important for people to have clear land titles.
You must have a big money, government give him the lookout him interest to you people. So far, I must money, me plus spend him no Ederanu, me plus spend him no health, me plus spend him no education, no lookout him interest to all community, no people blow you me, or beginning blow you me, or future, or leaders blow you me.
He gave his assurance to Ederanu that the community will maintain the service by paying their monthly bills.
So make sure that in Salo Northeast, Waramas Karma Mongogara, in Salo boundary belong and electorate belong. So remember, this is our commitment from Ederanu to you and your team.
This particular project is worth 160,000 kina and took over 6 months to be completed. There are about 25 communal taps under this project. Michelle Amba, National EMTV News.
And complementing the water project, the member for Mosby Northeast committed 20,000 kina for survey for land titles for the settlement. A working group has formed associations within the community for consultations with the Department of Lands and Physical Planning and the Office of Urbanization. The zoning plan was presented to the member yesterday, and this will be developed into a proper plan which will have allotments created and titles given out. Labi Amayu said Papua New Guineans have been suppressed for so long, and he is fighting to stop that mentality on a political level.
But big something, most of all, we're by providing this security in the Yupla, so that you feel must have you Papa ground and title program.
You're watching Saturday's news. Stay with us. We got more stories coming up after the break. Welcome back to the news. It's now a heart-in-mouth process as counting for the Bougainville presidential seat has begun. 9 candidates are racing for this top post as counting resumed at the main counting center at Hujena in Buka. While scrutiny has begun, Bougainville's acting electoral commissioner, George Manu, has warned candidates not to try and disrupt the process.
Any query should be raised through the formal electoral dispute resolution process to address disputes that may arise during the counting period. Mr. Manu said the Bougainville Electoral Commissioner's Office with the United Nations Development Programme introduced this process. Under this process, any enrolled candidate, voter or scrutinist may complete a complaint form if they reasonably believe that a violation of the electoral law or other laws has occurred, or if they object to a decision made by an electoral officer. Mr. Manu encouraged people to use this process and not disrupt counting. Complaints will be investigated as part of the Commission's commitment to accountability. Meanwhile, the acting electoral commissioner is calling on scrutinists with international and domestic observers to witness all scrutiny process. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
And in related news just in, former Bougainville Regional MP Fidelis Semoso is the new member for Chilato constituency seat. Mr. Semoso was declared this afternoon in Buka by acting Bougainville Electoral Commissioner George Manu. Other declared members are Stephen Suwako for Torokina, Rodney Osioko for Kokoda, Dominic Ita Kongara, and David Brown Vatavi for Taunita Tinputs. About MP and Public Service Minister Sepuka Temu says the betel nut ban in Port Moresby is unconstitutional because leaders of Central Province were never consulted in the process. While appreciating the NCD governor's efforts to keep the city clean, Sepuka called on the O'Neill Dion government to revisit the policy for the interest and benefit of the people.
It's our land was the praise Sepuka made at the grievance debate in Parliament yesterday, while pleading for his people of Central Province because the betel nut ban has badly affected their income earnings. Betel nut is the source of income, but since the ban affected in the capital city, Sepuka said it has relatively made people poor because it's a trading commodity. Sepuka told Parliament this was an unfair treatment as locals' rights were stripped off, displaced from their own province. Sepuka said the government failed to include leaders of Central Province in the process. He called on the ruling government to relook into the centre arrangements for National Capital District. Meanwhile, ECP Governor Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare pleaded with the people of Central Province and said the O'Neill Dion government must revisit the arrangement to solve this issue. Sir Michael also said the National Capital District Commission must be a commission of its own, with the word district omitted. Fabian Hakelitz, National MTV News.
We have Trukai Sports coming up next, and PNG sprint sensation Toea Wisil excited to participate in the Pacific Games. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports and to athletics first. Papua New Guinea's most loved athlete Toea Wisil is excited to return home for July's coveted Pacific Games in Port Moresby. Toea is the Oceania region's #1 ranked female sprinter in the 100 meters and 200 meters, having won both events at the Oceania Championships in Cairns earlier this month.
These wins have qualified Toea for entry into the 2015 World Championships in Beijing in August, which she will compete in following her participation in July's Pacific Games. Toea has her eyes set on multiple gold medals at the Pacific Games, as well as new national record in the 100 and 200 meter events. She will also contest the 4x100 and 4x400 meter relays. In lead up to the July Games, Toea has been undergoing a rigorous training schedule, focusing on her base conditioning work as she prepares to return home to represent her country. Wisil said her training has been going really well and getting tougher every time, especially the endurance workouts, but she enjoys every bit of it and is looking forward to the Games. Wisil said Papua New Guinea has done so much to help her succeed as a professional athlete, and she hopes to make everyone proud when she represents PNG at the Pacific Games. She will continue to train at her base on the Gold Coast before returning to Port Moresby later this month, ahead of the Pacific Games opening ceremony on July the 4th. Shane Saroya, National MTV Sports.
To rugby union now, and the Puma Energy Puk Puk Sevens have embarked on a campaign to engage schools in the National Capital District to participate in rugby leading up to the Pacific Games. Today, the team visited Korabasay International School and conducted rugby clinics on the importance of physical education.
These visits will see rugby being rolled out in IEA schools throughout NCD, as well as the education on the importance of regular physical activity. Captain Hubert Cher has said this would be a good lead into the Pacific Games for the squad, as it will help drive the team's awareness and, most importantly, get more kids involved.
That getting involved with rugby community, like the kids, giving them like being the role model for them, and we're playing at that home crowd, as like we are trying to get more supporters as that from the elite, like kids up to that the wider group committee of the rugby supporting behind the PNG Rugby 7s, not only 7s but the 15s also.
The participation in rugby from schools has increased, with over 20,000 kids involved in the 2014 Pacific and Union curriculum-based rugby development program. What the Pukpuks are aiming for is to demonstrate leadership and create a pathway which will enable these students to maintain their interest and remain in the code.
We need to get involved in more of school rugby programs, because we're not only going to be there for that long time. So as part of rugby development, we are giving back to the kids.
School visits is the first of many to come. Now the Pukpuks will be travelling to Kupiano in the Central Province to conduct more rugby clinics in the next 2 weeks. Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
With good weather and an early start, the oil search baton relay team took off by helicopter to the coastal village of Bua, further west of Finschhafen, landing on the sports ground of the local primary school, with students and family lining the field, a sing-sing group and conch shell choir, a unique welcome.
An early start to the oil search baton relay team today as they took off by helicopter to the coastal village of Bua, further west of Finschhafen. The chopper landed on the sports ground of the local primary school during their sports carnival. Students and families lined the field as a sing-sing group moved towards the relay team to the sounds of a conch shell choir. The 4 schools in the sports carnival joined to create a baton relay around the oval. It was then passed to Dua Dua Sing Sing group for a paddle in the canoe just off the beach. They landed and passed on the baton to a snake man. With over 10 snakes, large and small, wrapped around his body, the baton got up close and personal with the reptiles. After a quick touch of the baton for the students from other schools, the relay team took off towards the high mountain range, landing in Bowana Station. Students and residents lined the field as runners passed the baton around for all to touch. To the delight of the residents and school kids, the relay moved around the station. Men dressed in traditional bilas and women all had the opportunity to run with the baton, and many got to touch it. Next, the team travelled down the range to Sitam, where the baton was handed over by the oil search ambassador. The relay recommenced first in the field before the school kids lined up to have their chance. The relay team was then escorted across the river with the support from the children. The green machine on bikes took over for the beginning of the road relay, passing on the baton to residents who ran to the Busso River Bridge before handing it over to the Leh district. Much fanfare, drummer boys and a good crowd had assembled to welcome the baton to the district. A drive into Leh saw the baton arrive at Butibam village, where the oil search ambassador Bart Philemon officially received and launched the relay in the Leh district. The village's most celebrated athlete had the honour of running the baton for the first leg of the relay through Leh city. The oil search baton relay continues.
And that's all we have for sports tonight. The weather details up next.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
And the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. Port Moresby, cloudy with brief showers. Kerama, light showers, shower 2 for Popondetta and Alatau. In the Momase region, light showers at times for Leh, few showers for Medang and Vanimo, and thundery showers for Wibak. In the New Guinea Islands, Lorangao, Kokopora Baal, a few showers at times. Kaving and Kimbe, thundery showers, and Buka, showers. And in the Highlands region, all centres to be cloudy and light showers and drizzle, then morning fog. And that's been the news, sports and weather from all of us here. Thank you for your company. Bye for now.